Welcome back to another episode of the Outdoor Adventures podcast here on Brownfield Ag News. I'm Brent Barnett. This week's show is brought to you by Beck's Hybrids. At Beck's, we are and will remain farmers at heart. Well, we're talking deer hunting again here on the show this week, and joining us is Cody Butler, a hunter from Nebraska. And we had Cody on the show earlier this year, back in February. Cody, thanks for being with us again. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
Well, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, your background in hunting. I know we had you on, like we said, earlier this year, last winter, but just kind of remind the listeners a little bit of the work you do.
Yeah, I've pretty much been hunting my whole life since I could sit on Dad's lap, and just fell in love with the outdoors and God's creation, and kind of jumped into the outdoor industry at an early age and started filming and doing content for companies. Went to college for that, and have just kind of been full speed ahead in the hunting world for as long as I can remember now. And I own my own media company, Cottonwood Creative, and some of the companies that I'm doing stuff for right now, number one being Henry Repeating Arms. I do most of their kind of hunting marketing content and a lot of their YouTube channel stuff, and as well as their social media. And then I do some things for Hunt Stand and Stealth Camera and some things like that too. And then I just kind of have fun and do some of my own videos as well when I have time.
So Henry, would that be kind of like, I'm thinking back to my childhood, like the Golden Boy
Yep.
rifles? Okay.
Yeah, yep. We've got a whole line. I can't even tell you how many hundreds of different models we have, but we've got pretty much everything now from 22 long rifle clear up to 308. So
what kind of videos do you put together for them then? Do you mind if I ask?
yeah, no, we do a Hunt with a Henry series on their YouTube channel, and then we also do a lot of different gun reviews, shooting on the range, introducing new rifles, stuff like that. And then we also obviously do a lot of marketing content for their social media, short form videos and photography and things like that. So
No, that's really cool, man. And, last year when we had you, last winter when we had you here on the show, we had Cody talking about this monster triple drop tine buck that he killed with a recurve with traditional equipment. And that was just an amazing story. And the segment went over very well. And then just here recently, Cody and I are friends on Facebook and Instagram now. And man, you've had kind of a dream season to remember.
yeah.
We have a big story to tell here today because you killed just another absolute mega giant. This one, I mean, I don't know if you put the score out there at all, but I'm guessing he's right at or near 200 inches, isn't he?
Yeah, he ended up going 207 and a quarter.
My goodness. Well, that's an absolute buck of a lifetime there, Cody.
100%. Yeah.
What a blessing. Tell us the backstory. Did you know this buck was around, or was this like a surprise buck type of deal?
No, we knew he was around. We think he was 7.5 years old, and I had history with him kind of back to 3.5. When I saw him at 3.5, he was just one of those deer that I knew was going to be something special. He was already he's probably pushing 150 inches as a 3-year-old. Had some splits and stuff already, like he did when I killed him. I found his shed that year, and then as a 4-year-old, he just really wasn't around very much at all. He kind of was very hit and miss. There was a couple other bigger deer around then I think probably pushed him off of that farm and kind of kept him away. But then he showed back up as a 5-year-old, and I almost killed him as a 5-year-old. He was probably a mid to upper 70s type deer. At that point, I actually drew back on him 3 times in one evening in late October. I rattled him in, and he come in and just started tearing the woods up around me. And he ended up getting with a doe and chasing her around. And I just couldn't ever get him to stop, and he never gave me an ethical shot. And I guess thank the good Lord I didn't get him that time. I mean, I would have been very happy with him at that time. He was a fantastic deer then. But as a 6-year-old, he wasn't around much either. And then shows back up this year and just absolutely exploded into a once-in-a-lifetime deer for sure.
So was this his peak rack, or what he looked like as a 6-year-old?
I really don't know what he looked like at 6. We didn't really have him around much. I'm not sure if any neighbors did either. we're assuming he peaked at 7.
Wow. What goes into, so whenever he pops back up as a 7-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
and I assume you're getting trail camera pictures of him. I mean,
So
what?
that was kind of weird though. I got on my property, I got one single velvet picture of him, and that was it. And I instantly recognized him because he had a split G2 and a split G3 on one side, and knew he was back. But that was it, one picture. And then my farmer, we lease out all of our farmland, and the guy that farms that land for me, he has a place about a quarter to a half mile east of where I'm at. And I told him that I had gotten pictures of the deer, and he hunts too. And I just wanted to know if the deer was alive, at this point. And I asked him if he had cameras up yet. And he said he didn't. And when I told him about it, he went up, right away and got some cameras out. And it was like 3 days, I think, after he got some cameras out, he started getting pictures of him over there. So he was kind of summering over there, but going off the history I had with him, at 3 and 5, I had a feeling that if he was back in the area, he was eventually going to show up on me, which usually when he did show up was sometime in October. And that's exactly what he did. He showed up on October 29th in the morning. I moved in on him that evening because I figured he'd probably be bedded fairly close. Didn't end up seeing him that night. I actually think he got pushed off by a deer. There's a really old, just gnarly 8-pointer in there that was really aggressive. And I ended up seeing him that night, and he was kind of pushing everything around that evening. And I just had a feeling maybe he had pushed him out of the area. And then I hunted him the next morning in the same general area. Saw a lot of activity that morning, but did not put my eyes on him. Or I'm sorry, I didn't hunt him the next morning. I hunted him the next evening. Didn't put my eyes on him. And, but I just had a gut feeling he was still really close. And I left all my stuff in the tree basically that night. My camera arm and everything, basically everything but my bow and the camera itself. And went home, got in there super early. I sat in the dark for well over an hour that next morning. Just wanted to get in there, just kind of the area that it's at. There's a lot of deer right around sunup that come into that area. So you got to get in there pretty early, and got in there, sat there, and about 8:30, it was actually a really slow morning that morning. I was kind of thinking to myself, man, this morning should be really a lot better. It was Halloween morning, just perfect morning, a morning you dream of that time of year weather-wise. Couldn't believe I wasn't seeing more deer than I was. And about 8:30, I hit the horns together. And about 15 minutes after I rattled, he come in from the east, searching, looking for that fight. And he was hitting pretty much every scrape on the way through there. And I had a big community scrape at about 19 yards in front of me. And that's where he ended up. And that's where he took his final steps.
That's unbelievable, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Not a lot of people, I'd say the majority of people, don't ever have the chance to hunt a 200-inch deer, let alone see one in their lifetime. How did you process all of that, knowing he's there, knowing the caliber of buck, and just thinking, wow, I have a true opportunity here to hunt a once-in-a-lifetime buck?
Going into it, I kind of just went into it like I would any other deer. I mean, I've been very blessed over the years to be able to take some really, really good deer. So I kind of just went into it with the mindset of, hunting him smart and only hunting him when I thought I could kill him. And obviously that worked. I mean, took 3 sits and we had him down. But I think once the arrow was released and I saw him go down and knew, what had happened, honestly, I think out of every deer I've ever shot, I was more in shock than anything, and didn't, I was almost kind of half speechless, and just kind of sat there and collected my thoughts. I called my dad right away. He's the first one I always call if something like that ever happens. And, just kind of sat there and honestly reflected and just, thanked the good Lord above for the opportunity, and really just kind of gave glory to him that, I was even able to have an opportunity at something like that. And it was just a really special moment.
I think a lot of times when you see pictures of big bucks, it can be kind of hard to tell just how big they are when you look at a photo. I remember whenever I saw you first post that you had taken this giant buck, and I mean, it was just an absolute giant as we're talking about here. Can't state that enough. And then it wasn't until here recently you posted another photo. I think it was maybe on Instagram. Your dad had killed a buck, and you were next to
my
him.
dad killed a really, really good deer. Yeah.
Yeah, you were right next to him with this buck with the skull plate, like it'd been, cut off, getting ready for mounting.
Yep.
And you just kind of like takes your breath away, just the comparison.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from your dad's buck at all. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
So
just
put that in perspective,
exemplify.
the deer my dad shot was a mid-60s 9-pointer.
Yeah.
So, a big deer. I mean, he had an 11-inch brow tine, a 10.5-inch brow tine, super, super heavy mass. I mean, just a truly once-in-a-lifetime 9. And yeah, when you put them side by side, it was just really put it in perspective.
So did he run pretty far? Was it a tough track job, or did you see him go down?
No, I watched him. He went about 40 yards and piled up.
Wow. We're so I got to ask, last year we talked, you were hunting traditional. Did you go back to compound this year? What did that all look like for you?
This year I was kind of doing a little bit of both. What I did every year for the last few years, I've just tried to kind of do something different, some kind of a different challenge. Last year was the recurve traditional stuff, and this year, just kind of as a joke and for fun, I jumped on eBay and I bought a 10-year-old Matthews Creed.
Okay.
And I bought it. I ended up, I think I had less than $550 in the whole setup. And I just kind of wanted to prove that you don't need a $2,000+ archery setup to get it done, that kind of deal. And that's what I ended up taking him with, was that old bow.
And I'm someone that I love looking up equipment. I stay looking at all the archery equipment, all the latest bows. I don't have like a real, fancy $2,000 bow setup like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just this last year, I bought my first, I guess, older flagship bow. I got a Matthews Triax on the used market.
Yeah.
So thinking about that Creed, I mean, those are some smooth shooters from back then, those single cannons.
And I went with that because back in the day, I actually for a couple years filmed for Don and Candy Kiski at Whitetail Freaks, and they were with Matthews at the time. And I think that was like the 2013-14 seasons. And I had one of those old Creeds, the old solo cams that Matthews had, and they're fantastically smooth. I thought I really liked that bow, and I remembered that when I had one, and it was a crazy deal that I found this bow. I need to reach out to the guy I got it from on eBay. I need to go through my messages and try to find him and show him what ended up happening. But it was kind of a fluke deal that I found this bow, because the bow was 10 years old, but it was almost new. The guy had found it new in an archery shop. It was one of the last ones that had came in that year before the new ones had come out. And it sat in that shop, not being sold for like 8 years or something like that. And then the guy went in there, ended up buying it new from there. They put a new string on it there. And then he took it home, and he said he shot it maybe 100 times. And that was it. So when I got it, I mean, for being that old, it literally looked like it was new out of the box. It was a pretty cool deal.
You got yourself a hidden gem there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Something you don't find every day. That's for sure.
Yeah. So was this your buck here? Was this a Nebraska or a Kansas buck?
This was a Kansas deer.
Kansas deer. Okay. And that was,
I live right on the state line, and we actually have more land in Kansas than we do Nebraska, but I live in Nebraska. So we hunt both states. I kind of joke sometimes, it's kind of like living in Iowa, because I can kill 2 bucks in Nebraska and 1 in Kansas, and I'm right here, so I can actually kill 3 bucks in our area. So it's kind of nice.
That's a good setup, man. So
yeah, it works pretty good
for the rest of the season here for you. Do you have any other deer you keeping an eye on?
My wife killed my other target buck in Nebraska. We
Nice.
have which was great. She deserved it. She's had a kind of a rough couple of years when it comes to the hunting thing, and so I was super happy for her. But on our home farm in Nebraska, she was able to take the biggest deer we had there, which was awesome. And right now, I don't really have a target buck that I'm going after in Nebraska. Unfortunately, I've kind of lost quite a few of the leases and stuff that I've had. in Nebraska the last few years to an outfitter that kind of moved into the area. But it is what it is. But, right now I'm out here in western Nebraska with a buddy on some of his family land. A beautiful place out here. Seen a couple really good bucks. Haven't got one down yet, but we're hoping to maybe in the next couple days. Well,
good luck to you, man. If anybody wants to watch your hunt, because I know you mentioned you videoed it, how can they find it?
Yeah. That hunt right now is on my personal YouTube. It's just Cody Butler Hunt.
Cody Butler Hunt. Got it. Yep. I think your triple drop buck we had last year, you kind of did a collab with Bill Winky. Are you doing something like that again this year?
I'm not doing anything with Bill this year. I kind of got a job doing some stuff with Hunt Stand.
Gotcha.
Kind of some side work there. And so this hunt with the 207 will also be on Hunt Stand's channel, but they kind of hired me to do some work for them. So they've been kind of getting my footage too. And then obviously kind of been doing my own thing, with it as well. I did send the hunt over to Bill and just told him he could use it if he wanted to. I'm not sure, if he will or not, because they obviously have Hoyt as a partner over there.
Oh yeah. Sure.
But, if he wants to use it, he definitely can. If not, it'll be on my channel as well as Hunt Stands.
Man, we're so happy for you. Good to have you back on the show, Cody, and good luck to your family the rest of the season.
Yeah, good luck to you guys, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Again, that's Nebraska hunter Cody Butler here on the Outdoor Adventures podcast. We appreciate you joining us here every week on the show. You can catch all the video episodes on the Brownfield Ag News YouTube channel. For Outdoor Adventures here on Brownfield, I'm Brent Barnett. Have a great weekend.